Buying a presale condo in Vancouver can either set you up with equity or cost you tens of thousands of dollars if you don't understand the process. Picture this, you walk into a glossy presentation center, the renderings look incredible, the model suite is perfect, and the sales team makes it sound effortless. But behind all the excitement, buying a presale is a multi-year commitment, and one wrong move can have huge consequences. I'm Shahrad Sardari, a realtor here in Metro Vancouver, and I've helped many buyers through this process. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 9 steps of buying a presale condo, starting from deciding if a presale is right for you, all the way to getting the keys to your new home. Step 1 is deciding if a presale is the right choice for you. So why would someone choose a presale instead of a resale condo? Well, number 1 is that it gives you time to save. You don't need the full down payment up front, instead you make deposits in stages. Usually 5% at signing, and the rest is split into stages over the following months and years. That means you can save for each deposit as you go instead of needing a lump sum up front. Number 2 is brand new construction. You're the first owner, moving into something modern that is covered by warranties. In BC, we have the 2510 warranty, which we will get to later. Number 3 is flexibility. You don't need a mortgage until completion, which can be years away. That gives you time to grow your income or stabilize your finances. And number 4 is potential appreciation. If the market rises during construction, you may walk into equity by the time you move in. Of course, there are also risks, delays, market shifts, and financing changes. We'll cover how to manage those throughout this video, and before we move on, I wanted to mention that I've created a companion video called What is a Presale Condo in Vancouver, where I break down the basics in more depth. I suggest watching that first if you haven't already. Now that you know why presales might make sense, step 2 is to set a budget. Now let's talk about how deposits work. The initial deposit is typically 5% at signing. The rest comes in stages, typically 5% in 6 months after signing the contract and another 5% a year after signing, giving you time to save. Keep in mind all deposits apply towards your down payment. But remember, sometimes the total deposit required is less than the minimum down payment your lender requires. For example, if your bank wants a 20% down payment and the project only wants a 10% deposit, you'll need to save the rest before completion. That's why I recommend aiming to save 20% of the overall purchase price, and that is including deposits. So if the deposit is 10%, then make sure you're able to save an additional 10% before move-in day. If the deposit is 15%, then save an additional 5%, and so on and so forth. Now for financing, the most important thing to remember is you do not need to get a mortgage right away. You only need to do so when the building is complete and you are about to move in. Now, standard pre-approvals from a bank won't last 3 years. Rates, rules, and your situation can change. So we can rule those out instantly. Another financing option you'll sometimes hear about is what lenders call a no look-back mortgage. Here's how it works. You lock in a mortgage rate years in advance, up to 5 years before your completion date. If rates go up, you're protected and your rate will stay the same. But here's a trade-off. These rates are usually much higher than what you would get in the current market. You're paying a premium for the certainty that no matter what happens, you'll still qualify when the building is complete. And keep this in mind. This only applies if you qualify for a mortgage right now. If you still need time to save for your down payment, build credit, or improve your financial profile, this won't work for you. It's also very rare. Not every lender offers this, and most buyers don't do this. But for some, the peace of mind is worth it, especially if you're worried about rates increasing or failing the stress test later on when move-in day arrives. If rates have gone down by the time the building completes, then you can try re-shopping your mortgage closer to completion. Just remember, you'd have to re-qualify under the rules at the time, which sometimes may have changed. The bottom line is this: a no-look-back mortgage is about certainty, not saving money. It's rare, it's usually more expensive, but for some small number of buyers, it can be a safety net that guarantees they'll be able to close. There are also additional costs associated with buying real estate outside of the price and the mortgage. For a brand new building, these will include GST, which is a 5% tax on all new homes. This can be included in your mortgage, so you don't need to have it in cash. But an important thing to note is that first-time home buyers may qualify for a rebate if the property is less than $1 million, and a partial rebate if it's more than $1 million but less than $1.5 million. The next is property transfer taxes. The amount will depend on the value of the home, but for reference, for an $800,000 condo, it will be $14,000. Keep in mind, first-time homebuyers are completely exempt from paying these up to $1.1 million for a brand new property. Plus, the last thing is legal fees, strata adjustments, and property tax adjustments. Everybody has to pay these, and I would budget $5,000 for all these costs. These are all the additional costs that are also known as closing costs when it comes to a brand new property. The takeaway here is that deposits are staged, they apply towards your down payment, GST can be financed, and you don't need a mortgage until completion. But plan to save 20% of the total price just to be safe. Step 3 is doing research before you ever set foot in a presentation center. Start with the developer's reputation. Some builders in Vancouver are known for high quality, on-time projects. Others have track records of delays, cost-cutting, or warranty issues. So it is very important to research the developer to make sure you are going to get a good property when completion comes. But the single biggest factor is the location of the building itself. In Metro Vancouver, location determines almost everything. Your lifestyle, your commute, your future resale value, and even your rental potential if you choose to rent the property later. Here's what to look at. Transit access, being close to SkyTrain lines or rapid bus lines, almost always drives demand. Schools and daycares, because if you're planning to have a family or a future buyers might be, then being near a good school adds a lot of value to your property. Next is daily essentials, including grocery stores, gyms, and parks within walking distance to make a big difference to your livability. And I'm sure you know this, but your budget will also narrow down location options. In Vancouver's west side, pre-sales are priced very differently than in Coquitlam. Knowing your budget up front saves you time and helps you focus on areas where you can actually buy and want to live in. At the end of the day, you can upgrade finishes inside your unit, but you can't move the building. Location is the foundation of both your lifestyle and your investment. Once you've narrowed down your short list of projects, step 4 is to visit the presentation center and choose your unit. This is the hands-on part of the process, and it's designed to impress you, so go in with a clear strategy. Here's what to focus on. Number 1 is finishes. Always ask which finishes are included in the base price and which ones are upgrades. That beautiful stone backsplash or built-in closet system may actually not be standard, and you may have to pay extra to get it included. Number 2 is floor plans. Don't just look at square footage, focus on livability. Does the space flow? Are bedrooms separated for privacy? Does the living room actually fit a sofa and a dining table? Because a well-designed 650 square foot unit can feel larger than a poorly designed 750 square foot one. Number 3 is unit placement. Think about where your unit sits in the building. Corner units often get more light but can be noisier. Lower floors may have easier access, but higher floors often carry better views and resale value. Number 4 is exposure to natural light. South facing means more light, north facing can be darker, east facing means morning sun, west facing means evening sun. These differences impact the livability of your unit. Number 5 is noise factors. What's outside your window? A busy road, SkyTrain track, or construction site will affect livability and resale. And number 6 is parking and storage. Ask if parking stalls and lockers are included or available to purchase. In many parts of Vancouver, especially close to SkyTrains, parking is limited but still adds major resale value. Number 7 is amenities. Pools, gyms, rooftop lounges, they sound nice, but they also increase strata fees. Be honest about what you're actually going to use because you will pay for the amenities you don't use if the building includes them. So more isn't always better. The goal in the presentation center isn't always just to pick the nicest model unit, it's to imagine yourself or a future buyer, if this is an investment property, living in the unit day to day. Ask tough questions, double check what's included, and choose based on fundamentals that will hold value over time. And if you're unsure how to evaluate livability or resale value, that's where working with a good realtor really helps. Once you've chosen a unit you like, step 5 is moving forward with the purchase. This is where your realtor's experience really matters. Depending on market conditions, your realtor may be able to negotiate a better price, adjust the deposit amount, change the timing of deposit payments, or even secure you free upgrades like storage or parking. After you and the developer agree on everything and sign the contract, you immediately enter the 7-day rescission period. That means for 7 days, you can walk away from the purchase for any reason and get your deposit back in full with no penalties. These 7 days is your opportunity to make sure that this property is right for you. And here's how to use it wisely. Go through the contract with your realtor. They'll go line by line and catch any fine print around deposit handling, timelines, and obligations. Next, review disclosure statements with your realtor. This is the official document that lays out everything about the project. The size of your unit, the common property, estimated strata fees, amenities, and risks. It's not a light read as it can be hundreds of pages long, but it's one of the most important documents in the entire process. You can also use this time to negotiate with leverage. If there was another project that you liked, then you can try negotiating with the other developer too and see if they're willing to match the deal or give you a better deal. So the key takeaway is that step 5 isn't just about signing papers, it's about using the rescission period to protect yourself, confirm the details, and in some cases, even improve the deal you're getting. Now, before we move on to the next point, if you need help with this step, that's exactly what I do. I help presale buyers negotiate better prices, make deposit payments easier by adjusting both the amount and the timeline, and even secure free upgrades like parking or storage. On top of that, you'll have an expert walking you through the contract and disclosure statements, so there are no surprises later on. So if you're considering a presale and want someone in your corner during this stage, book a call with me using the link in the description below or the information on screen now. Step 6 is what happens after the rescission period ends. This is the waiting game, and depending on your project, this can be anywhere from 1 to 5 years. Here's what to expect during this time. First, you'll start receiving construction updates from the developer. These are usually high-level photos of progress, milestone announcements, but nothing detailed whatsoever. Think of them as check-ins to show the project is actually moving along and the building is being built. Second, you need to stay on top of your finances. This is the stage where disciplined saving matters most. Your deposit covers most of your down payment, but you'll still need the rest of your down payment plus closing costs by the time completion arrives. I always tell clients use this waiting period to keep building a financial cushion so you're not stressed when you get your completion notice. Third, you may encounter material changes. This is rare, but a material change is any significant alteration to the project, like a reduction in size, a major amenity being removed, or a construction delay far beyond the original timeline. If this happens, the developer must notify you, and depending on the significance of the change, you may even have the right to walk away and get your deposit back in full with no penalties. Fourth, there's the topic of assignments. An assignment is when you resell your presale contract before the building is complete. This is sometimes used by buyers who need to exit early, but there are rules. Developers typically charge a fee, often 1 to 3% of the purchase price, and they decide whether assignments are even allowed. On top of that, any profit is taxable, so it should not be relied on as an easy way to make a profit. Even if you plan on living in a unit, it's important to know your assignment rights because life can change and you may need to get out of your contract early. Finally, remember this. The waiting period can feel quiet, but it's not passive. It's your preparation phase. Contact your realtor with any questions, keep saving, review updates carefully, and know your rights if the project changes. That way, when completion day comes, you will be ready. Step 7 is getting your mortgage approved before completion. A few months before completion, it's the time to formally get approved for your mortgage. This is when you sit down with a mortgage broker and provide all your updated documents. Things like income verification, employment letters, pay stubs, credit history, tax returns, and information on debts and other loans. The bank will look at your entire financial picture at that moment. If you were pre-approved for a no-look-back mortgage years ago, it's usually still worth going through this step again because rates may have dropped and you could qualify for a better deal than what you locked in years ago. Remember, no-look-back mortgages are rare and they often come with higher interest rates, and they only apply if you qualified back when you signed. For most buyers, this process before completion is completely unavoidable. This is the most critical stage in the entire process. If you can't get approved at this point, you risk losing your deposit and even the unit itself. That's why I always stress, keep your finances steady during the waiting period, don't take on new debt, Don't make large purchases on credit cards or using a loan. Do not buy or lease a new car, and avoid switching jobs without talking to your mortgage broker first. Even small changes can throw off your ratios and affect your approval. By starting this process a few months before completion, you also give yourself time to fix any issues if something pops up, whether that's paying down a credit card, updating documents, or adjusting your application. And by locking in a rate ahead of time, you'll know exactly what your monthly payments will look like, which makes budgeting a lot easier. So step 7 is all about preparation, checking in with your broker, shopping around if it makes sense, and making sure your financing is fully in place. That way, when closing day arrives, you're not scrambling, you're ready. Step 8 is the big one, closing day. This is when all the years of waiting and saving finally come together and you officially take ownership of your new home. A few weeks before completion day, your lawyer or notary will contact you and go through the statement of adjustments. This shows the balance of your purchase price plus adjustments for things like strata fees, property taxes, or utility hookups. At the same time, your lender and lawyer coordinate to make sure the mortgage funds are ready. Remember, your deposits apply towards your down payment, but if the bank requires more than what you've already put in, then you'll have to top it up. Which is why I recommend saving more than just the deposit amount. You'll also need to cover completion costs like legal fees, property transfer taxes, and GST that hasn't been rolled into your mortgage. Also remember, property transfer taxes and GST are both avoidable if you're a first-time homebuyer and the property qualifies. On completion day itself, the funds are transferred from your lender to the developer through your lawyer or notary. Once the title is registered with the land title office, you are now officially the new owner of your condo. Finally, step 9 is the moment you've been waiting for, move-in day. After closing, you'll get your keys and finally step into your new home. But here are a few important things to do during this stage. First, you'll do a walkthrough inspection. This is your chance to flag anything wrong with the unit. Maybe a scratch on the floor, a door that doesn't close properly, or an appliance that just isn't working. Developers expect this, and most will have a process for logging deficiencies so they can be corrected for free. Don't rush this step, take your time and document everything to ensure that everything is perfect. Second, understand your home warranty coverage. In BC, new homes are protected under the 2510 warranty program. That's 2 years on labor and materials, things like plumbing, heating, and electrical. 5 years on building envelope, the exterior walls, windows, and roof. And 10 years on the structure, the foundation, framing, and load-bearing components. Knowing what's covered and for how long gives you peace of mind, and you also make sure you don't miss the window to get things repaired at the developer's expense. Finally, get familiar with your new strata building rules. You'll attend your first strata meetings, set up monthly fees, and start working with your neighbors to manage the building exactly how you guys want to run it. So step 9 isn't just about moving in, it's about inspecting carefully and knowing your warranty rights. This is the final step in the home buying journey. If you want someone to guide you through the entire process, helping you pick the right unit, negotiate the best terms, and make sure nothing gets missed along the way, book a call with me using the link in the description or the information on screen now.